Alright, so in this one I'm going to talk about writer's block. So I figured there's a lot of people who could relate to this topic. So writer's block is something that I used to get, but I don't get anymore. And it's been about 4 years now, and I haven't gotten it. It's not due to luck, it's due to the way that I changed my behaviors, and I basically changed my mind. Alright, so I'm going to tell you a little story. So when I was 26, so it was 2016, used to work at Giant. So one of my co-workers at the time, he was making an online comic book, and he was looking for someone to make music for it, for the credits section. So he knew that, I made music. I've been writing songs since I was like 9. I started recording songs, making actual MP3s out of it since I was 15. So at this point, it's been about 15 years since I've been recording stuff. So he asked if I can make music for it, like a metal song, and he wanted it to be inspired by the main character of his story, which I thought was really, really cool. So that was probably, I guess, January or February of 2016. I think it was January. So anyway, so it's like I was really inspired. I started writing it, and this was actually the first time that anyone had ever asked me to write a song for them. First time that ever happened. So there was this totally different dynamic than what I was used to, just making songs for myself. This time was definitely different because there was this added pressure. So anyway, so I started writing that song, and it was going really well for a little bit, and then I started second guessing everything that I was doing because I was worrying so much about whether he would like it or not. So I was second guessing everything. I would write something, and then I would erase it, and then I would record something else. And I literally did that so many times that I had ended up rewriting the entire song like 4 times. The entire song, just because of how many times I changed things over and over. So it was getting to the point where it was becoming like this endless cycle. Like it was just like I was just writing and writing and writing, and I was never finishing it. Yeah, so time's going by, and every now and then he would check up on me at work, which I kind of dreaded, and he'd be like, "Hey, so how's the song going?" I'm like, "Yep, still working on it," and I was just like super frustrated and annoyed. Like, why can't I freaking finish this thing? Why can't I actually make something and just be done with it? But I was writing, every single day for like a half hour a day, if I could help it. And I kept on setting deadlines for myself, and each time I set a deadline, I just kept on going past the deadline to the point where it was becoming irrelevant that I was setting deadlines. That's how challenging this was for me. So it got halfway into the year, I guess it was June or July, and I just thought to myself, maybe I should just take a break. Maybe I should take a break. Maybe, because I had this thing the whole time I was writing the song, I was forcing myself not to write any other songs because I wanted to freaking finish it, So I was intentionally making a point to not work on anything else. So imagine that. It's 6 months only working on one song. And just to give you an idea, just for reference, it usually takes me, or for a long time, it took me about maybe a month or 2 to completely finish a song and record it and everything. This was 6 months and I still wasn't finished. So I was just maybe if I just took a little break, started working on another song, it's maybe that'll get the creative juices flowing again, and maybe it'll get me back into that mind frame of just writing songs and finishing them, So I started writing another song, and I finished it, and I was happy with it. And then I wrote another one, and I was happy with it, and I was really liking how it was going. I might have even written one more, actually, and then I finished that. And then by that point, it was near the end of the year, and I specifically remember this day in detail where I walked into work. It was December of 2016. And like the first person I see when I walk in is that coworker who I mentioned. And the first thing that he says to me, he said, you know, I was just thinking about, it's like almost been a year since you started writing that song. And just like hearing those words, hearing him say those words, it just really was the turning point for me, because it really made it so real that, yes, it's been almost a year since I started writing that song. It really put things in perspective to hear him say that. Honestly, it just made me feel like shit. And it wasn't his fault. He was just, making an observation. But it made me feel like shit because of all this stuff. And I was just so frustrated. Like, why the fuck can't I finish this song? So yeah, hearing him say that was just a turning point for me. And I just completely changed my mindset. And I was like, dude, you have to finish this freaking song. You have to finish this song. So I was just like, all right. It's just like no more bullshit. So I remember just going home that night and just bringing the song back up, and I'm working on it, and I have this whole new perspective now. Totally new perspective, totally different mindset. Just like, you have to freaking get this done. And I actually made myself another deadline. I was like, all right, you know what? It's going to be, I think it was like February 1st or January 31st or whatever of the following year. So it was like January 31st, 2017. 1 month. I'm going to finish the song. That's the deadline. So yeah, I started writing the song again, and I was having those same feelings coming back up. Like, I write something, and then I'm worried that he's not going to like it, and like, I want to erase it, I wanted to edit it, and like go back and write something else, but I forced myself. I was like, dude, you have to finish this, so you're going to keep it. Like, keep it. Just freaking keep it. So I was kind of like training myself in a way to like trust what I was doing. I was training myself to trust what I was writing. So I write something, even though I'm second guessing it, I keep it. Even though I'm worried that he's not gonna like it, freaking keep it. Just freaking keep it. You're just worried about it not sounding good, freaking keep it. Just keep it in there, So that's what I just kept doing over and over. Like, really the entire time. I was just like, just go through it. So by, I think it was January 31st, I was almost done. I think it was either February 1st or February 2nd. I finally finished it. So it took about a year or more. 1 year to write one song. So finally did it, and I told him it was done. And then I showed it to him through the internet. And then the next day at work, I went into work, and I was expecting him not to like it. I was actually thinking like, oh man, he's gonna pretend to like it, but he's not really gonna like it. Like, that's how little confidence I had in the song. I was just like so worried that he was gonna like hate it or something. And then especially after all this time, it's like, can you imagine like spending an entire year in a song and the person doesn't like it? You know what I mean? But anyway, so I was really worried, but I got into work and I see the guy, and he just walks over and he shakes my hand because he loved it so much. And he was just like, thank you. Like, he thanked me. I was like, I could tell. I can read people pretty freaking well. That guy was being real. That was probably possibly the most genuine expression of satisfaction that I've ever seen from anyone in regards to any of my songs. Possibly. I could tell he genuinely really enjoyed it. And that was just so freaking gratifying to see that. And that can get into deeper topics like, what are we doing this for? Are we doing it for people's reactions? I don't think so. You can get into a deeper discussion about that, but to me, that's kind of like a different topic. The worth of our art, I don't think, is based necessarily on whether it's well received or not. You can go deeper into that. That's its own discussion. But anyways, just keeping to the subject at hand, what I want to say after telling that story is that after that song, it's called Tetsuga, by the way. I'm going to re-record it actually, so it's better quality. So I plan on actually having that out in an actual CD in the near-ish future, hopefully. So the reason why I tell that story is because ever since I had that experience, ever since I finished that song, I've never had writer's block. Ever again. I've never had writer's block. So that was early 2017. Right now, it's late 2020. It's been almost 4 years, and I haven't had writer's block. I used to have that situation, like, occasionally. That would definitely happen. You know, I would have a whole bunch of different songs saved, just parts of it, and then I would never return to them. I would just stop writing it, because I would get writer's block. That never happens anymore. Like, literally, I think that every single song that I've started since then, I've finished. Never had writer's block. No shortage of ideas or anything. So one of the main things that I learned from that is actually to trust myself. It was that I wasn't trusting myself enough to, like, believe in what I was doing enough to keep it, I think. But then once I forced myself to keep it, it's like, it's kind of like I trained my mind to trust what I was doing. So if I were to, like, kind of package this and sum it up and put it into little points or tips, I guess, the first thing would probably be, well, to start. Just freaking start writing stuff. I guess the second one would be to set a deadline. That really helped. Set a deadline. The third thing would be to actually have someone hold you accountable for finishing it, just doing it. And also get someone who seems like the kind of person who would actually hold you accountable, even if that means, like, paying them. Like, that's actually something I've done before too. It's like, set up a thing where you tell them, if you don't do it by a certain time, if you don't finish the song, then you're going to pay them like $50. I've done that before, and it actually helped. The next thing would be to just keep what you write. Whatever you do for art or whatever, just keep what you do. Just keep it. You know, you're going to want to just change it, but you do not want to get into the trap of changing it so much that you never even finish it. You just change it forever, and it never ever ends. When you write something, just keep it. Force yourself to keep it. Now, it's like, is there a time and place for editing? Yeah, of course. So, like, after I finished a song, you know, I went back and I edited some. I changed some riffs around. But that's why it's good to have a deadline, because that way you can only edit for so long. Because otherwise, you could end up editing forever. Another thing that I've learned is that the more that you finish songs, the more that you write songs or whatever it is that you do, the more you create your art, whatever it is, you create it, and then you just continue to build on the momentum by making something else right after you finish that one. That's really important too, because, like, you don't want to let too much time go by in between projects. At least in my experience, it can be harder to start up again. And it's like, you don't want to lose the momentum that you've built. It's like, it could be harder getting into it again if you let, you know, months pass in between or something like that. At least in my experience, you finish it, you do it. Now that it's done, start the next one right away, because you don't want to lose the momentum. Yeah, so let me know in the comments if you have any experiences with writer's block yourself, or any tips that you have for overcoming it, things that you've learned. I'd like to hear. I'm sure other people would like to hear as well. Yeah, so I post new stuff every Monday on YouTube. I also have a Spotify I can check out, links in the description. Also want to thank my patrons on Patreon. You guys are freaking awesome. I really appreciate your support. And I will see you in the next video. See ya.